All right, good morning. Yeah. Guten Morgen, come allez-vous? How are you? Welcome to Forex.Today, the YouTube community of more than 20,000 foreign exchange traders. We gather here today to conduct technical and fundamental analysis with the overriding goal of planning our trades in advance. Now, why would we do a thing like that? Well, because trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Hey, my name is Wayne. It's really nice to meet you. I'm the chief market strategist for a boutique foreign exchange trading firm called TradersWay.com. I recommend you check them out. I believe them to be trustworthy and ethical, brokers, for lack of a better word. Yeah, and you're going to need one. You have to. You should check them out. Oh, look, I run a little thing called Investor Boot Camp. We cover Forex and futures, and we're going to do personal finance and real estate. Very cool stuff. If you want to learn how to manage the balance sheet of a commercial bank, that's covered. If you want to know the difference between traditional oil drilling and fracking, that's covered too. Just an amazing amount of stuff going on at Investor Bootcamp. You should check it out. It's a good deal. Have you guys tried TradePlans.ai yet? I contacted, I had meetings with our data provider, and we are in the plans. It's going to take probably a month of development work. So now what we do is we offer almost every Forex pair you can imagine, which means we have 15-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour and daily candles for almost any currency pair in the world, which is amazing. But we've added crypto. So there's quite a few different cryptos there. We've added the S&P 500, which is awesome. For some reason, we can't get FTSE. The data provider doesn't have FTSE. So we're in negotiations and in the process of developing the work to also add gold and silver first, and then oil next. It'd probably take us about a month to do all that work. Cool, right? You got to try TradePlans.ai. It's really awesome. And I know it sounds self-serving, but it's amazing what a machine can do now. So before you take a trade, get a second opinion. That's it. How long do you have to wait? 3 seconds. Actually, it'll take you 3 seconds to go to your email and open your email, and it'll already be there. So it'll take you 3 seconds. It doesn't take our AI 3 seconds. It's pretty amazing. Cool. Have you tried Quant-in-a-Box? Quant-in-a-Box, amazing, very cool. Quant-in-a-Box automates your macroeconomic research, and it now does market sentiment research. So imagine at 6:30 in the morning, you're discussing things like VIX. The VIX. So I covered that today, and just so you know, I'll grab the link and I'll share it. But you can get those videos for free every single day. Are you guys getting the Quant-in-a-Box videos? Okay, now if you're a paid subscriber, of course you get it live, and the recording is up there before 7 a.m. But for everybody else that ain't got no money, you can watch them here for free every day. So I'll show that now. Okay. These are released at 10 a.m. So here's the one coming out at 10 a.m. Okay, cool. In 108 minutes, you can have it for free, but I did this 90 minutes ago. Yeah. So it's cool. You should check it out. Honestly, I think you'll like it. Why not? All these resources are made available to you. So I hope you find your success. But you have to earn it by doing it. Anyways, cool. So lots going on in the world, that's for sure. Also, if you have more than $1 million and you're interested in long-term investing, in the next 6 months, I'll be launching a hedge fund for you. Well, I don't actually like to call it a hedge fund, but I guess it's appropriate because you're hedged. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, if you're interested in a hedge fund, but not a get-rich-quick hedge fund, but get richer steadily over long periods of time with low volatility, it's a low beta. It's a low beta fund, but high income. It's pretty cool. Greg says Gary Gensler, who's my former professor at MIT, is quoted that AI is going to cause the next market crash. Yeah, I would suppose that what he's saying is the hype. So right now, money is going to anything AI, like a couple of years ago, anything crypto. Yeah, that's just really dumb investing. Venture capitalists do it all the time, but now, once the companies have gone public, so suddenly anything with an AI gets money. That's just dumb. So yeah, people are going to lose money if you invest with stupidity. You're probably going to end up broke. So yeah, I think that's what's going to go down, Greg? But AI is definitely the future. So I'm very happy and proud to have built TradePlans.ai. I've spent 20 years of people asking me, hey, what do you think about euro dollar? Hey, Wayne, what do you think about USD Swiss franc? Hey, Wayne, what do you think about pound Swissy? Hey, Wayne, what do you think about euro Aussie? Hey, what do you think about oil, gold, Bitcoin? It's just like I can stand in line, or I could have a line and I can just, right? And 1,000 people could be in line just asking me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? How about this other thing? What do you think about this, Wayne? What do you think about this, Wayne? What do you think about this, Wayne? Now I've automated the process, and the answers are very similar to what I would say because I know I trained it how to think. So it's awesome that we can do that. Ask me anytime of the day, and get a response immediately, as if I was standing there, as if I'm in the room with you. Hey, Wayne, I was thinking about buying this S&P 500. What do you think? Ooh, well, it's bearish, and it's a little bit bearish right now on this time frame, but maybe on the long term, yeah, I understand what you're thinking. Oh my God. Okay. Greg says, yeah, I use AI to write code for my EAs. Yeah, I'm a programmer. Yeah, it's a tool, right? But Greg, it doesn't think for you. And that's the difference, right? But it is, especially, I suppose, reviewing code. Right? Reviewing your code is also good. It helps for QA. All right, so anywho, dollar's getting strong and I'm loving it. Dollar's getting strong and I'm loving it. She's a beaut. Okay, great. There, that's the higher time frame. Let's go to the shorter time frame indices. And look at that dollar. Look at the rip on the dollar. Nice. Yen ripping as well. Nice. Very cool. Aussie week. Okay, that's our China play. Remember, I told you on Sunday, if you're my day trading group at least, be ready for the Chinese data. So we learned last night that import and export data was bad. So continued Aussie weakness, continued Kiwi weakness. Makes sense. Okay. Lovely. Look at that, huh? Yes, you're ugly, with your smile so worn and your teeth so green. Yeah. Anyways, look at that. Just another rip down. In this case, a dip. Taking it down to the next level. Love it. Kicking it off the central pivot. Love it. Kicking it off the roll reversal. Love it. Kicking it off the moving averages. Love it. Of course, the acceleration has to do with the Chinese data. But nonetheless, in the direction of our trend and in the direction of the seasonality. Cool. Once again, with the help of Quant-in-a-Box, we were able to understand the likelihood of this weeks before it happened. And you might recall I put an X there and I said, it doesn't feel like it now, but what if this was the top? Remember that? I said, it looks like a double top. What if that's the top? Why? Well, we expect downward pressure in July and September, or in July and August up until about September. Right on. Terry, that's beautiful. Beautiful, Terry. I'll show it to you if I have QB open. Do I have it? No. Oh, I found my oil. I don't have it on the website. I still just have it on the database. I gotta release this. Anyways, where do I have Quant-in-a-Box open somewhere? Oh, this just turned risk off. Yeah. Look at risk off, buy the Swissy, buy the yen, buy the dollar. That just happened. That wasn't like that a few minutes ago. Interesting. Happy with that. I'm happy with this as well. I had the developers, remember, it wasn't doing this earlier. Oh, look, they both changed. Nice. So now we're risk off, medium term, risk off today, now, short term. But these were not changing colors, and they finally have. So now it's like buy Susi, buy yen, buy dollar, medium and short term. And we're ticking longer term. So that's good. This is all seasonal. But what I want to show you is this. I released this. It's a free upgrade to all pro subscriber accounts. I released this, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I want you to see, like when I released it, the US dollar, oops, let me zoom in. was generally weak across the board. And I released this, and what I want to show you is I'll do this in sort of a bluish color to follow this, where Quant-in-a-Box says, be prepared for down, be prepared for down. Actually, let me delete this, scroll this up a little bit. You can't quite see the dates. There we go. All right, let's do this again. Delete. Quant-in-a-Box said, be prepared for down, be prepared for down, be prepared for a little bit down, no big deal. Actually, that's not what I want to show. Delete this. It's actually, I'm trying to get the July, August. See, July, August, July. July, August is up. You see? July, August, up. July and August and September is down. Okay, July, August, September is down. Okay. That's what Quant-in-a-Box was telling you when the dollar was weak. Okay? And guess what the US dollar has done then? So euro dollar was up, now it's down. Aussie dollar was up, now it's down. Aussie dollar was up, now it's down. Right? Or that's pound dollar. Kiwi dollar was up, now it's down. USD CAD was down, now it's up. Okay? USD yen, was up, now it's down, and now, okay? And everything is turned around on time, as indicated by Quant-in-a-Box. And when I released it, it was before all those turns. Free upgrade. You're welcome. You see how easy it is? You can just look at it and see the seasonality of all the dollar pairs all together. Boom, 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 boom. Lovely. Okay? Redonkulous. Redonkulous. So anywho, we'll leave it at that. This is something I'm working on for the oil industry. How pretty is that? One of the things we talked about yesterday was this. No, that's this. Okay, the world GDP, because we have a lot of GDP stuff coming up, and import-export data. World GDP is at 2.7, expected to be at 2.9 next year. Well, Luis, what does that mean? What do you mean, get ready to rumble? Oh, let me read your other comment. Wayne, you don't have to be a genius. No, never said you had to be. I believe that inflation has risen a bit compared to previous months. Yeah. Do you see the European data today? Yeah. Yeah, Luis, yeah, it's all been talked about. Yeah. Jim says the more he uses seasonality bar charts, the more I like them. Oh. Yeah, let me show that. Okay, yeah, good. Thanks, Jim, because I haven't actually showed anybody. I'm such a bad marketer. Anyways, I've given this to all subscribers or of the Pro membership, but I don't even know where I put it. I haven't talked about it. I haven't told anybody. Okay. But this has been released now for a month. I just haven't told you. And it's like in July, Quant-in-a-Box has, okay, up, and it went up. And then for August, Quant-in-a-Box has down. This is for Aussie dollar, and it's down. Look, Quant-in-a-Box has it up, up. Quant-in-a-Box has it down, down. Quant-in-a-Box has it down, down. Quant-in-a-Box has it, down, 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 flat. But notice how little down, flat, flat. And then suddenly up, up, then down, down. You're like, wait, what? So again, the green is the 20-year, and the red is the last 5 years. So after 20 years, it's flat but bullish. Bullish. Slightly bearish, bearish. Bearish, bearish. Okay? Bearish, 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 bearish. Bullish, bullish. Bearish, bearish. Should be bearish in September. Okay, but notice this turnaround. Delete. You have to think linearly, and this is not linear. You have to think about it like, sort of like, right? But I think that's what you meant, Jim, right? Starting to use this. So somewhere around the September period, Aussie dollar would bottom out, and you would look to go long. Whoa! See, this is down, but less down. You understand? Less down, less down, less down. So you should be in an accumulation phase here. Okay, accumulation phase. And then here, getting paid phase. Lovely. Oh, it's on Quant-in-a-Box. Oh, my God. You can do that for any asset you want. Yeah. How about the S&P 500? Wouldn't you like to know what your portfolio is going to do? What about the Japanese stock market? What about the German stock market? Yeah. What about the dollar index? Yeah. Huh? Anyways, it's gorgeous. You love it. You know it's good. Anyways, so what I'm trying to look at here, though, is a couple of things. World GDP, according to the IMF, I believe I get this from the IMF. I'm pretty sure I do. All of this comes from government websites, by the way. So that's why I'm pretty sure this is IMF that we get this from. So you want to look at, is global GDP going to be expanding next year? Let me get to this. Okay. So the answer to that is yes. And what about China? No. No. China's collapsing. So in general, there's going to be some activity, right? Let's say the end of recession globally. But as far as, let's say, demand for things like iron ore and coal from Australia, not so much, actually, contraction out of China. So whoever does a lot of business with China may have a tough year next year. Okay. Jeffrey says, can you do euro dollar? You mean on Quant-in-a-Box? It's self-serve, bro. Self-serve. By the way, you can try Quant-in-a-Box for $8. Yeah, just pay for it, Jeffrey. It's easy. Cool. Anyways, so I'm automating this. I own a website called epicenter.energy. And so I'm going to build this. It won't necessarily be a Quant-in-a-Box tool. And I'm being selfish. I want all information about the oil industry in one spot so I don't have to go to 5 different websites. The one thing that's missing from here right now is rig count. And I suppose we would want some CFTC data as well. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show supply and demand. So here's weekly, monthly, and quarterly supply of oil with historic averages, basically standard deviation of supply. But that's why I asked to go to the IMF. I asked the developer, I said, go to the IMF and get global GDP so that we can estimate future demand. So rich countries are flat. China is down, but generally the world is going to be up. Look at Australia, GDP of 1.8 falling to 1.4. But Slovenia, yeah. So anyways, yeah, that trade balance number, 65.5, it's okay. It's not great. I talked about it a couple of days ago somewhere. I don't remember where, but I talked about it. And yeah, make a sense. GDP in Japan falling next year. Okay. Euro area growing. Yeah, good job, Europe. I think it's nice to know all these, right? Does anybody know interest rates in Argentina right now? 60. 60%. Greg says, what's going to be tough? You said that's going to be tough. Yeah. So, Luis, should we buy Argentine bonds that pay 60%? Is that easy money? Should we buy? What do you think, guys? Should we buy Argentine bonds, earn 60% a year? Easy money. Look at India, 7%. Yeah, wow. Right? Andelo's like, oh, wow, I should invest in, yeah. No. Okay, let's ask a Google. Argentina inflation 2023. Let's do that. 147%. So you will guaranteed, absolutely, totally for sure, lose money. If you loan Argentina money and they pay you 60% return on investment, in real terms, you will lose your money. Not all of it, but you will be guaranteed to lose on real terms. So they pay you back, so now you have 60% more Argentine peso after a year, but you will buy less stuff with it than you could have. So in absolute terms, you will make 60% return on investment. You will get 60% more Argentine pesos than you loaned them. The problem is it'll buy less stuff. Okay? So it's kind of like you lend them enough money to buy a car, they pay you back with money that will buy a motorcycle. Okay. Mondello said, as a beginner, I wondered why nobody invested in these, right? Well, that's what we call real rate of return. So you have to take, okay, your 60% that you're going to earn, that's the yield, minus inflation, so 60% minus 150% is a negative number. So you will, in real terms, be guaranteed to lose money. So very few people loan money to Argentina. But if you want to buy some beautiful horse property or maybe a vineyard, Argentina is the place for you. Okay? And in Argentina, they have a saying, better than Cuba. Well, Luis, actually, the nice vacation you have for sure. Imagine snow skiing on the 4th of July and putting that on your Instagram feed. Now you're like, we do it all the time in Australia. Yeah, well. Good food, good wine. Yeah, I have friends in Argentina. Yeah, I've never visited, but I could. I knew a guy who ran a hedge fund that was buying up land, but this was in the 90s, I think. They were buying up land. I don't know if it worked out. Because I don't know if the land has made any money over those 20 years, but anyways. Buenos Aires used to be called the Paris of Latin America. It was very, very wealthy. Before World War I, okay, let's say at the time of World War I, so let's say 1915. I'll just pick a date. The GDP of Canada and the GDP of Argentina was the same. Or I suppose you'd say per capita income. Like what I'm trying to say, depending on the measurement, Canada and Argentina were very rich countries. Canada is still a very rich country, and Argentina is a very poor country. Thank you, socialism. Yeah, thank you, socialism. Thank you, socialism. Anyways. By the way, TradePlan.ai people, There's another upgrade that happened. You may not have noticed this, but the activity feed updates automatically now. So this page has been open probably for 3 days. I just found it open. Notice the last trade was posted a couple hours ago, but I haven't updated this page in days. Isn't that cool? So someone has a trade plan. It's all, notice, it's all anonymous. This person, I don't know who it is buying the S&P 500. They want to buy it at 45, target 45, stop 45. Okay, that sucks, by the way, whoever did that. Okay, all right, so what are you actually thinking? Left shoulder, head. All right, I'm risk off on this. And okay, 1 hour US 500. Okay, I don't know why you labeled it titanium, but anyways, US, yeah, okay, 44 something. Yeah, well, look, I don't agree with the direction, but I don't have to. So I'm going to look at this technically. If the head and shoulders developed, you'd have the left shoulder, okay, ahead, higher, high, higher, low. Could you take it up from 45 to 45, 45? Yeah. Yeah, sure. I'm okay with that. Boom. Okay. But, okay, cool. All right. It's nice, right? Stocks. So S&P 500 and Apple. You can trade Apple. We'll add more. Don't worry. Let me know what you want added. Forex. Okay. You want to trade Israeli shekel. You got it, baby. Crypto. Bitcoin. Ripple. Ethereum. I don't know what the heck this is. What is it? Binance? BSC? I don't even know what the heck that is. So if you want something else on crypto, we have a lot. If you want particular stocks, like what do we want? The high moving stocks, we could add those. We can't add FTSE, but I think we can add DAX. And I think we could add Dow. But it comes down to, Aiden doesn't have a problem thinking about this stuff. We have to get the time data and then format it appropriately. There's a lot of work. And of course, I have to pay money. But nonetheless, it's happening. So let me know, Wayne at fxbootcamp.com. What stocks do you want? What stock indices do you want? What crypto do you want? Okay. And like I said, we're already starting the development work. So just imagine Wayne's going to pay thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but we will have gold, silver, and oil. And maybe a couple others if we think it's important. We will have a commodities button in there too. So let me know what you want, what you need. Okay. Cool, right? Cool. What's going on? Nothing's right. I'm torn. Check my history. Look at this. 3 people agreed with my trade plan. Cool. I'm short. See, here's my plan. I'm short the stock market, going for 4,400. 3 people agreed with me. Yesterday at 10:30. Cool, right on. That's nice. It's neat. It's a nice little system, I'm telling you. Caribou says, do I think socialism is bad? As an economic system, yes. Like bad isn't the right word, I suppose. But how about this? Let me be a little more, let me say it differently. I've studied economics and finance in a capitalist world from capitalist pig dog points of view. So I only know what I've been trained. I'm trained like like the monkey doesn't know good or bad. He's smashing the cymbals or playing the piano, bang, 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 and he'll get a banana. So I don't know. I'm just a capitalist monkey. So I only know what I've been taught and trained. Great. So I could have been lied to my whole entire life, just like maybe other people have been lied to their whole entire life. I don't know. But I've studied from the Western point of view. So if you were socialist, you might disagree with me. If you were, let's say, I don't know, I'll pick on China. If you were Chinese, they have a different history and a different point of view and different value system and whatever, and they may agree or disagree with me. I don't know. But from my training, I've looked at capitalism versus socialism. And there seems to be a stark difference every time. And the interesting thing about the world is there's different versions of capitalism that could have some hints of socialism, some tint. Maybe one economy is 5% socialist and 95% capitalist, and the other one is 30% socialist and 70% capitalist. And then you go somewhere else and it's 70% socialist or 90% socialist. And so I've been around the world and I've also studied history. Is there a difference between the two? Yes. Now, communism is different. I don't know if communism is better or worse than democracy. Ooh, boy, that can get me into trouble, right? Well, look, I mean, we don't know. In 100 years, the whole world could be communist. But what we know from this scenario of studying the last 100 years is, like, if you look at China, they are communist, but now they're capitalist communists. They went from filthy, stinking poor, digging in the dirt, okay, to filthy, stinking rich, living in a skyscraper. But they're still communist. But they drive to work in a beautiful, they work in a beautiful modern building. They drive to work in a car that drives itself. They've gone from extreme poverty in a lifetime, in a generation. They went from extreme poverty to one of the richest countries in the world. Maida says, I never said everybody in China. Not everybody in America is rich. Okay? But productivity levels, Maida, in China have gone up. So the capitalist part of communism has made a radical difference. Now, the next part that you have to study unbiased is that in a democracy, we have to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and usually end up doing nothing. In a communist command and control situation, somebody just makes a decision, like a king. So if you don't like the word communism, just think, okay, let's just go back to having a king. So like the Dutch are ruled by Queen Beatrix. Great. So what Queen Beatrix wakes up in the morning and says, what? I want to build a park. I want to build a park. And I want to build it in this town. Done. But there's some houses in the way or something, or a train station. Well, get rid of the train station. One person can do it, and boom. AJ, I did that at Quant-in-a-Box. So, yeah, I've already talked about it. So I forget if I've talked about it or not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do this so much, AJ. But the answer is yes. In particular, it started with Italian banks But then Moody's downgraded US, and I talked about why and how we got here. And yeah, I did all of that. You can get that at the Quant-Box video, which is also free, youtube.com/Quant-Box. Okay? So anyways, right? Maida says, yeah, communism is a kingdom. Well, we have negative connotations to the word communism, but in the United States, for example, they built the United States to prevent having absolute power like a king. So Americans are anti-kingdom. And I'm okay with that. I like the balance of power. So I'm not telling you I want to be communist. I'm a communist. I'm definitely not a communist. But I'm saying in a world of competition, okay, it's really hard to compete with a command and control system where you can just get something done. The danger, though, is one person says, we need to stop COVID by locking everybody in their apartment. And somebody says, well, science says, and he's like, I don't want to hear it. So send people out with blowtorches and weld all the doors shut to all the apartment buildings. Somebody says, oh my God, you can't do that. That's infringing on people's civil liberties. And the king says, all right, chop his head off. Off with his head! And then the troops go out and weld all the doors shut. Like, oh my God. So America, we don't want that. Okay? But also, the classic example I always give, for 50 years, California has been talking about building a high-speed train from San Francisco to LA. It's a great idea. And let me tell you, it's flat almost all the way. You have to go over the grapevine. But almost all the way, it's perfectly flat. And nobody lives out there. It's all desert. So the land is cheap. The land is barren. The land is flat. You couldn't pick an easier place to build a high-speed rail. And California will never, ever, ever be able to build it. Because they want to talk about it and debate it and like, well, what about the grasshoppers? And somebody like me says, what the hell do you mean the grasshoppers? Screw the grasshoppers. And someone else will say, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying that's my opinion. I'm like, eminent domain, get rid of the grasshopper. And you think I'm laughing. I knew a guy that was building a golf course and housing developments, and they ran into a rare caterpillar, a caterpillar that was growing in sort of the marshlands of where he was building the golf course. And the government pulled the plug, pulled all his permits, and they're like, you got to do this study. And he was losing like $1 million a day because of the caterpillar. Right? But I'm just saying, I don't agree with command and control. I'm not saying we should have Putin in charge. I'm not saying we should have Xi in charge. I'm just saying they're competition on a global market, and it's hard to compete. If one guy could just say, we are going to build this train from LA. In fact, we're going to build it from Seattle to Mexico. And I'll make the decision that we will try to hurt the fewest amount of people as possible, but I'm going to build this, and we're going to build it fast. We're going to be done in 10 years, not 100 years. Okay? So anyways, so that's hard to compete with is all I'm saying. And we are in a competition. And capitalism and socialism has been in a competition for, I don't know, it's safe to say about 150 years. And socialism has never worked. Capitalism has always worked. Now, there are different degrees, and that's the social decision of, how capitalist do you want to be? Because there are negative consequences to capitalism. Okay? So anyways, I'm not so sure who's going to win, democracy versus command and control. Maybe we won't call it communism. Maybe we won't call it, a kingdom. I think somewhere along the line in the next 100 to 150 years, so in the future, there'll be something different than democracy. It'll borrow from the idealism of protecting the individual over the group. But there'll also be maybe some sort of tweak to the system in which stuff gets done more efficiently and effectively. Okay? And so there are quite differences between, like, the UK and Canada are very similar and are quite different from America, which is kind of interesting. I'm surprised, like, without much deep thought, I think what I would like to do is take away a lot of power from the federal government in the United States and give it back more to the states. So you will have this freedom of choice in America. If you hate Georgia and love Texas, move to Texas. If you hate Texas but love California, move to California. You prefer Colorado, move to Colorado. But there might be a radical difference between Colorado and Kansas. And there might be more of a difference, let's say, but less power at the federal level. So, like, you pay some taxes, they make sure there's rule of law, and that there's a military to protect us in the situation of emergency. And we have health standards for food and medicine and that kind of stuff. But a lot less power after that. And you want the freedom to just pick up and choose where you want to live. That'd be great if you could do that. Now, I actually designed a system. So in one of my economics classes, my project was to build a better economy for the United States. And I actually paid one person, right, to stay at home. It was part of it. Now, I believe I had marriage as part of it. And I don't care if it's man and man or woman and woman, man and woman. I don't care. But if you're going to raise children, I mean, economically, I don't care, right? If you're going to raise a household, I want there to be a long-term commitment. And that's why I had marriage as part of it. And then I would pay one of the spouses to stay home to raise the kids. And I did some research and I proved that if there's a two-parent household, there was less likelihood that the child would end up in jail. They're more likely to be educated. Let's say the dad stays home and the mom works, but the dad earns income from the government. The dad is counted in GDP. Whoever stays home gets counted and all that kind of stuff. But the world is more efficient if dad can drive the kid to math tutoring and soccer practice and science Olympiad. All these things to lead to a more productive society. Not only more productive, but less destructive too. You have less destructive people and more productive people. You actually get a smoother economy. And so therefore, what happens is, let's say the part of society that needs the most help gets smaller, actually. And what happens is you get a bigger and bigger middle class, a smaller and smaller lower class because of this support income, but less, let's say, civil disobedience and more society participation. So you get this increase in middle class where the middle class is doing all right. You have a healthier diet, you live a little longer, you have a little more balance in your life, there's a lot less crime in society. And yes, you still get this situation where in capitalism, you get people of extreme success. You'll always have a Jeff Bezos who, can't spend all his money. It's impossible. And you're like, well, that's not fair. Well, he built a company that lowers inflation for everybody. So if one guy or a team of people build something that benefits everybody in society, like I get mad, like I have to wait 2 days for a package. What the hell? Order something from, it used to be, we placed an order one time at Kmart. It was a couple of years ago. I think Kmart went out of business. But it was an extreme example. Like there was just something we could only get at Kmart. It was funny. So we ordered it, and it took like 3 weeks to get here. Like 3 weeks. If I ordered on Amazon, it'd be here in a day, maybe 2. So anyway, so Jeff Bezos will always make money. But the thing is, if you have a more productive, more civil society, everyone benefits. But you have to take your taxation base and somehow invest back into society, right? And so that's how I designed it. But the next part was a smaller federal government that not only supported but acted as a catalyst for entrepreneurialism. So like when Uber came out, it was a crime to be picked up at the airport by an Uber. Does anybody here even remember that? It was illegal. I'm like, what an amazing business for, let's say, single parents. They need a little extra money. They have a really tough schedule. They can't work a 9 to 5 as easily as most. Or you just want to work part-time whenever you want. Like whenever you want. You're like, you know what? I got 3 hours tonight. I can do some Uber runs and pick up some money. Dude, I love it. The flexibility. And women can be an Uber just as easy as men. You don't have to be physically strong or something, right? Like, it's really cool. Like, that's entrepreneurialism. You have the freedom to hustle whenever you want. Turn down a job, you're like, oh, I don't want to go to that neighborhood. Forget it. So like now, like people deliver groceries to our house and people drive me around in their cars. And, there's all this awesome stuff. The government should not just support it, but be the catalyst for this type of thinking. They should change everything so everyone in society is an entrepreneur. Or as they say, a mother effing hustler. Yeah, love it. If you live in a society that says, hey, if you want to get rich, start working, start being productive. You can do it. Whatever you want, wherever you want. There's a million ways for you to do, right? I want a million opportunities for every single person in my society to get off the couch and make money by being productive and producing value for everybody else. It's incredible. Right? So anyways, so I wrote that whole paper, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, Richard says it's a zero-sum game. For what, though? Not for an economy, and not even for trading, really. So I've come to believe, and by the way, here's this winner, winner, chicken dinner. I've come to believe, as I matured as a trader over the years, that trading's not even a zero-sum game. And I wrote a book in it. The first concept I talk about is trading as a zero-sum game. Well, I've matured since 2007. And I think generally speaking, you can be a bull and I can be a bear. And if we know how to trade properly, both you and I, we can completely disagree and both make money. Now, one person's more likely to make more money than the other, but that's besides the point. That it's not a zero-sum game at all. But if you can't trade, you're trading in the middle and it feels like it's a zero-sum game. But I believe bulls can be bulls and make money. Bears can be bears and make money. And the difference is the trend, which just means if you're a counter trend, it won't last very long. And if you're a trend trader, it'll last longer. You'll buy it at support. It'll go up to resistance. You'll take profit. Has nothing to do with a bear. There's no bears. It's an uptrend. What the heck? What bears? There's no bears. Okay? So it's wonderful. In fact, I've realized that what we do is a symbiotic relationship. I love it. Trading is good. It's a beautiful thing. There's a bit of a negative connotation, I think, to like, it's a zero-sum game, kill or be killed. I take it all back. It's my turn, and then it's your turn. Even if we disagree. It's cool, man. You sell it so I can buy it low, and I'll drive it up. And then you can sell it again. Sweet. Right? Yeah, Wolf Boy. Yeah, he's talking about what San Francisco and stuff. And it is a tragedy. I lived in San Francisco for many years. I have a ghost. My ghost lives in San Francisco. And I can tell you, I've had uncountable numbers of experiences of just awe of the beauty and wealth, really, too, of San Francisco. My experience there was so wonderful. It was so beautiful and so romantic of a city. I've been all over the world, and I must say San Francisco is right up there with Paris. It was so amazing. And just walking the streets at night, just trying to get it right. So many experiences. Great. And then the entrepreneurial spirit that was there in those days and the amount of wealth that was being created and old neighborhoods coming down and new neighborhoods going up. I love it. What an amazing place it was. And now all my friends, because I've been gone for 20 years now, or 10 years, I guess, 10 or 12 years, they're like, don't come back. Okay? They're like, don't come back. It's all gone. Everything I liked about it is gone. Yeah. So I imagine you see beautiful old buildings and awesome lofts that someone spent millions of dollars, and it's all falling apart and decaying. I've seen pictures on and videos on YouTube of old neighborhoods I used to know. And they're all boarded up, neighborhoods where it was too expensive to live and now nobody wants to live there. Yeah, well, that was a social decision. That's not the failure of capitalism. It's not like people got so rich that it destroyed everything. Somebody decided to deal with the problem of too many people getting rich. So the classic example, everyone in economic studies, is when a city says, it's too expensive to live in our city. People are being hurt. In particular, poor people are being hurt because nobody can afford the rent. So we as a government, as an institution to protect society, with our best intentions are to protect society, we are going to mandate rent control. If you fast forward 25, 30, 40 years in advance, society is worse off. There'll be extreme housing shortages. Yeah. And you'll end up with a tent city. And it started with the good intent of people governing society. Like, the government, I think, is always trying to do their best, but very often you have people that don't understand what they're doing. So my guess is what happened to San Francisco over the last 15 years is people did the best they could to protect society from the evils of capitalism. Because you had the situation where, like, look, a friend of mine, and I think he still lives there, he made, I don't know, let's just say $100 million at Google. I think at the time he had 40 million, but it's probably now 100 million. Okay? Like, seriously, a friend of mine has $100 million. Cool. So he moved to San Francisco, above Noe Hill, and he bought an apartment building for himself. Would you consider that extreme? Yeah. That's ridiculous. Like, what? He can't get by on 25 million? He didn't set the price. Society gave him $100 million. He just worked at Google for a couple of years. It wasn't even a couple of years. Okay? So anyway, so he bought an apartment building. Now, there was like, the first floor was a parking garage for 12 cars. And then I think it was 4 or 5 apartment buildings, full floor, elevator, and I think the penthouse was 2 floors, right? Like a duplex. All right. So he bought it for himself. That's extreme. Now he has parking for 12 cars, which is really prime in San Francisco. Atop of Noe Hill, so there's lots of coffee shops and nightlife and stuff. It's really a nice neighborhood. His apartment building was on the top of a very high hill. So it was like his view from his 5th floor rooftop deck was like 100 stories tall. Like you're at the top of a skyscraper in New York City. So billion-dollar views, right? All right. So someone might come in and say, well, that's really extreme because at the same time, most people in San Francisco were priced out. So when I lived there and a house became available for sale, let's say somebody was asking for $2 million for an apartment, on the same day, 20 people would show up and they would sell it for cash for like 1.8 million, 80% over asking, cash offer in that one day. Why? Because there was lots of people with Google money. You see, like lots of people. So how does like a cook afford a house? How does like someone that works in retail or just a regular Joe that doesn't work at Google and doesn't have stock options, right? How do you compete? Well, you can't. So anyway, so the government comes in and says, this is a real problem. Too many people are rich. So we're going to solve it. Now, they don't think about making everybody poor. They just say, well, this is a problem. So they implement things like rent control or something else. And now 15 years later, San Francisco has been destroyed. Money is leaving. Jobs are leaving. People are leaving. The place is in ruin. But it's becoming more and more equal. So people have lost, let's say, the people that bought the apartment for $2 million, they're now dumping it for $1 million. But what that means is everybody is moving toward equality. Yeah, it sucks. One person had a $2 million apartment, and now they're dumping it, and they're lucky to get $1 million. And what we've done is destroyed $1 million of value, right? And so now we're going to get to the point where nobody is rich. And again, you might disagree with everything I'm saying, but use San Francisco as a classic example. I don't think anyone set it out to destroy such a beautiful city. I'm still in love with my memories of San Francisco. I really don't want to go back and see it. But it reminds me a lot of Cuba. Cuba was filthy, stinking rich. It's so beautiful. You saw those hotels and some of the videos that the hotel showed of, like you saw that old house that was turned into a hotel, or you saw the other one where they're driving down the street. The woman is in the back of a old convertible and she's driving past these buildings that are the most beautiful buildings you've ever seen in your entire life. And they built it in a capitalist economy. And they're not building those buildings now. So anyways, it's an interesting scenario. It's an interesting case study. Wolf Boy says, I agree. I lived near Union Square. Okay, yeah. Oh, you worked at, I know exactly, on Montgomery. I used to work at 555 Montgomery, and then I was up on Kearny, right on the border of the Chinatown. Very cool. Yeah, the Pacific Stock Exchange. Yeah, it was awesome. I was told like a couple of people said, don't go back. And then I was told recently, like the Union Square is a ghost town. There's no retails anymore. The hotels are struggling. Yeah. Oh, that was so beautiful. I used to go ice skating. Right? Every Christmas, ice skating across from Neiman Marcus. Oh, man, it was so beautiful, huh? Is it the Fairmont? The Fairmont Hotel there, and that old tea room in the lobby, and then you go up the glass elevators. And there was a hotel with an awesome upscale jazz club at the top with a view. That was like one block up past the Nike store. Oh, man. Yeah, the Fairmont. It was so awesome. I've heard don't go back. Yeah, don't go. It's all gone. So I'm going to go rich every day, every time. I vote rich. China voted rich 30 years ago, and I've been all over China, and it's rich. It's amazing. Be interesting what they do during their first downturn ever. It's going to be a moment of maturity for China. China's amazing. I mean, imagine the struggle of managing Chinese society. So I met with a very diplomatic gentleman in India when I was in India. Very regal, very diplomatic, very, anyways. And he said, so what do you think of Chandigarh? I'm like, well, first of all, it's a beautiful city. So unique, unlike anything else I've seen in India. It's so beautiful. The people I met here are friendly. I enjoyed my time walking through the rock garden and along the lake. I went golfing, sir, and I had such a great time. The people I've met are just wonderful, warm, kind people. And of course, the food. The food here is amazing. And he's got this beautiful beard, all tied up because he's Sikh, and a beautiful mustache, all beautifully gray. And he's got this beautiful turban on. And he just looks at me, and he's almost smiling, but you see it in his eyes. He sees right through all my bullshit. And he's like, let me tell you about my city. The population has tripled in the last 15 years. Whoa. So you take Atlanta, and let's say in a very short time, it goes from 18 million to 24 million people. Would you, could the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta build enough roads, build enough sewage, build enough garbage dumps, build enough power grid, build enough water supply to handle 300% growth in 15 years? Democracy can't do it. There's just no way. I just don't see it as even being possible. So yeah, now, of course, India somehow does it, but probably doesn't do it well. So I ended up spending time in the slums when I was there, same city. So I was with very fabulously wealthy people that had like rubies carved into their marble floors. They had marble driveways. So I was with wealthy people, but then I went to the slums, and, you know, there you go. You get this dichotomy. And I planted trees in the slums. Got my picture in the newspaper again, but it was fun. But yeah, it's a way to really, I love travel so I can see the difference of the differences. I celebrate the differences. I think we live in a society now in America where you're not allowed to celebrate the differences. And I'm like, I love the fact that we have different religions. I love the fact we have different colors. I love the fact we love different kinds of people. Tell me all about it. I love the fact we have different histories. I love the fact that we enjoy different foods. Tell me all your stories, right? I love our differences. Why do we have to be the same? That would be boring. But anyways, so travel is wonderful because you can see the differences. But you're the one that's the different, right? Like you have to look at yourself and say, ooh, I'm different here. So I have to be open-minded. And it's wonderful. Right. And Maida's like, poverty happens with the lack of opportunity. And that's why in my adjusted society, my plan was that the government gets involved to create a culture of entrepreneurialism. It's about a bounty of opportunity. So you have to teach entrepreneurialism to children. And then you have to create an infrastructure, both institutional but social infrastructure as well, that not only supports it, but creates entrepreneurial opportunities. And what that does is puts everybody to work. And then that productivity lowers prices, so you never have inflation. And you have a high standard of living. So the fact we have inflation around the world right now is a consequence of piss poor decision making that is socialist leaning. And you're like, but wait, now that's a political point of view. No, because capitalism is disinflationary. Capitalism is deflationary. Capitalism doesn't have inflation. Now, it might happen in the short run if there's suddenly a shortage, an exogenous shock. There's a drought and there's a shortage of food. But that capitalism didn't create that. So inflation is impossible. I'm telling you, economics will show you Inflation is completely impossible in capitalism because there's only so much money, and money is tied to productivity. So you can make a decision where capitalism creates income inequality. Now, I think pure capitalism creates other kinds of equality. Capitalism is designed to focus on increasing productivity, lowering costs, and generating value. Capitalism doesn't care who you worship. Capitalism doesn't care about the color of your skin or who you make love to. It doesn't care. They're like, you want to work here? You're a kick-ass person with awesome ideas and a work ethic, and you want to make this company successful with the rest of us? You're hired. We're a team of ass kickers at this company, and you seem to kick ass. Welcome to the firm. And if you do good, you're going to get rewarded. Okay? That's how it works. So if the government comes along and says, well, you have some people over here that are fabulously wealthy. Most people are just kind of making it happen, making ends meet, getting along. And then a portion of society is struggling really bad. Well, let's just give them a whole bunch of money. That's not what is needed. Now, in the short run, someone with no money, and you're like, let me give you some money. And they're like, oh, thank God. Okay, on the short run, it's very helpful. On the long run, it's not helpful. And not to anybody, not to them. So what you want to do is education and opportunity. You have to have the opportunity. If it's just free money, what happens is you get institutionalized. Which means you don't know how to take care of yourself. Okay? Institutionalization comes from the government just like handing out money. So once you're on welfare, it's hard to get off. But also in other countries like, I don't know, maybe Saudi Arabia, for example, there's enough wealth there where you have generations of people that don't know how to work. And I don't mean skill, I mean ethic. They don't know something basic like a work ethic. They've never had to work. Their father never had to work. Their grandfather never had to work. So how do you learn things like work ethic? Okay? There's a curse to that. If you've been in jail for 30 years, you don't know how to cook for yourself or clean your apartment or show up on time. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're really good at that because of it. I don't know. Right? But I can tell you there's a negative consequence. And go back in history as long as you want. I'm sure you can go back thousands of years and you'll always find that it always fails. And I can show you economics. In my third quarter outlook, I showed money that went into, at COVID, money that went into bank accounts that were broke. Then they suddenly got money. And now the money's gone. And those people now have no money again and more debt. The people that got the most money from COVID are worse off. I'll say it again. I showed it in the Q3 outlook that that in the short run, stimulus checks or whatever it was called during the COVID period were desperately needed by a few. And it's really less than 10% of America based on what actually happened. We know all this to be true. All right, so anyways, so some people really desperately on the short run needed money. So they got money, a lot of money. Some cases, $10,000. And now 2 years has gone by and that money is gone and they're worse off. They're more broke than before 2019. Okay? Good intentions, unintended consequences. So I'm not saying it was a bad move, but we did something wrong. And the big move wrong wasn't that we gave people that were desperate for money to buy food and pay for rent. That's perfectly fine. People need help. This is hard being human. People need help. You know what we did wrong? Everybody else that got money too. More than 10% of Americans got money. And that was the problem. And that free money is the only thing that can create inflation. Yeah, it's the only way to create it. So if you live, if you live in a country with systemic inflation, and that could be 5% inflation and not 50 or 60. And what you can see is that there's something in the construct of your social structure. The more inflation, the more socialist. And some of it's good because a pure capitalist would say, and remember, this is like a mathematical model. Nobody's a pure capitalist. But a pure capitalist, theoretically speaking, would say, oh, 10% of Americans lost their job and they have no ability to buy food or rent. Well, F them. It's their fault. They're all drug addicts or something, right? Like something terrible. Well, we know that is wrong. We know that through 150 years of experimentation. We know that that's not right. So you don't want to be 100% capitalist, but you don't want to be 100% socialist either. And so the rest is your social decision through, ideally, a representative government to enact the model most appropriate to the people's needs. 5% socialism, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's a difference between New York and Utah. There's a reason why we have a Federal Reserve System in the United States. Why isn't there just one central bank in the United States? Because farmers didn't trust New Yorkers to run the bank. You're going to leave it to Wall Street a-holes? There's no way a farmer trusts one of those guys. But you know who's worse than a Wall Street a-hole? Some idiot in Washington, D.C. that's raping and pillaging the public finances and blah, 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 blah. So like a farmer hates a Wall Street a-hole, but so much better than a Washington, D.C. Politician. So what they say is, okay, so you put the Board of Governors in Washington, D.C., but then you need someone to do the actual finance work. So you're going to have a Fed in New York City. Okay, but now we need some representation in the Midwest. So there's actually two Feds that are super close to each other, representing the areas of agriculture, because farmers needed a big representation to overpower D.C. and Y. And then you have Chicago and Detroit and Atlanta and Dallas, and way out in San Francisco, they manage the whole entire West Coast, right? Okay, and you can see that there's a balance of power geographically as well as culturally. And that's why I say maybe the states should have more power to be free. So I think in Utah you can have 3 wives, right? Do I agree with that? It doesn't matter. But if I wanted 3 wives, I wouldn't live in Texas. I'm like, me and Me and my women, we're going to move to Utah. Love it. Jim, yeah. Anyways. So dollar's strong across the board. We already know this. It's been great. It's really doing us well. Euro dollar's way down. Aussie dollar's way down. USD CAD way up. Even USD yen. So right now, a lot of things are working really well. We're already on the daily aggressive target for pound dollar. All these things have all been playing out. Look, we're on our way down to our swing trade. Like everything is working. Let's take a look at the stock market very quickly. Okay, and S&P 500 down again, which is great. That's positioned well. You can see our target is, well, I posted it on TradePlans.ai. What did I have? Where's my trade plan? Okay. Okay, sell at 45.16. Okay, and take it down to 44. Okay, so what was the trade plan? Okay, I think it was sell it here and target 44, which is here. Okay, so that's what I posted. That was my trade plan, something like this. So far, so good. Are we on the free and clear? Do we know now? No, but it's too low to sell. You don't sell at support, you sell high. Where did it? So lower low, lower high, lower low, and it was still up, lower high, so lower low. Trying to, where was it? Here. No, it was this one. Sell here. At 16. I think it went to 18. So yeah, it worked out beautiful. Look at that. Lovely. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, TradePlans.ai. Very cool. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Richard, you shorted Uber. My daughter bought Uber a year and a half ago, and I think was up 100%. Yeah, boy. And I think same thing with, I think she bought Apple and Uber. I think Apple was up, right? 100%. Yeah, Richard would have bought a put. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, good for them, huh? Yeah, you buy a put, which means you're a bear. Yeah, it's tricky, right? You're like, wait, I'm a bear, but I bought it? Yeah, you bought the right for falling prices. So anyways, you bought the right to buy it back lower. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, well, where people get lost, Jim, is like you're buying the right for some sort of future action. You're buying a contract that will allow you to have some sort of future action if you so choose. And someone else is actually writing a contract. And then you go out and write and sell that contract to somebody. And so you can sell the contract for someone to buy, or you can sell the contract for someone to sell. But yeah, so it gets really, right? So, Andelo, I think everyone should have the freedom and the opportunity to do whatever they want, to be as productive as they want, to work as much as they want, right? And many people in many societies say, you know, the meaning of life isn't working hard and having a lot of money. I agree. But you should be able to afford whatever lifestyle you want. And some of that might be you rarely ever need to work. You're like, I just want to live an easy life. I know lots of people that do that. And not because they have a lot of money. No, they never have earned a lot of money, but they've never had to work hard either. And they're going to die absolutely penniless and leave absolutely no money to their children and their grandchildren. So do I agree with that? No, but they didn't ask me, in my opinion. And what'll happen is their future generations will continue to probably have that same guideline. Work as little as possible, have enough, you don't need more. And spend it before you die. And that's that. Cool. You should have that freedom in America to work and get whatever you want. But if you want to become a millionaire or some other kind of thing, then great. So democracy and capitalism is all about choice, isn't it? Well, that's what economics is, the study of scarcity. And what does that mean? Well, you have to choose. And when you pick a different society, there's no choice. Right. Made us like, you can't even speak your mind. Yep. Nope. Yep. There you go. But you also get these weird situations, and I was explaining this yesterday. You're on an island, and you order seafood, but there's no seafood because there's no gasoline. You're like, oh. And then you go to a cigar place, and it's Cuba, for Christ's sake. Sorry, I only say that to emphasize, right? You go to a cigar place, and they don't have any cigars. And you start to see the theme here. You're like, wait, the average person makes $20 a month. If I buy a cigar in Cuba, it's going to cost me $100. So you go to a cigar place and you're like, dude, this place is going to make a fortune. I'm going to get myself a Cohiba. It's going to cost me $125 US. Like, that is so much money in Cuba. It's insanity. And then you go to the cigar bar and they don't have any. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? This is like selling gold. Anyways, yeah, well, there isn't any. But they have coffee. So you have an espresso and you chill out in the air conditioning. You leave a tip. and you leave. Okay. Now you go to a capitalist place. I don't know. Pick a country. What? Switzerland? It's not an economy we talk very much. If I go to a cigar bar in Switzerland, it's impeccably clean. I mean, sterilized. It's on time. It opens perfectly on time, closes perfectly on time. The staff is incredibly trained. The cigars are very expensive, but they have everything in the world that you want. From the $10 cigar to the priceless cigar. You can spend $250 on a cigar. You can spend even more. And they have whatever you want. Whatever you want. Choice. Tons of choice. It's all choice. Just incredible amounts of choice. Whatever you want, any way you want it. Yeah, well, the small country is important because it's easier to manage society. The bigger and more populous your economy, the more difficult it is to manage it. Yeah, be careful, Andello. You're stirring the pot a little bit. It's all right to have different views and stuff, but your words are a little strong sometimes. I've known many of the people in this chat room for 5, 10, 15 years. So yeah, so be careful. You're stepping on toes of people who I respect greatly. So just, yeah, whatever. But I'm not reading everything, so I don't know what's going on, but just whatever. All right. But yeah, so the bigger the economy, the more complex. Right? Yeah. So anyways, the world doesn't have easy answers, but right now I'm bearish on all the stock markets around the world. Lovely. And UK is coming down, all that kind of stuff. Let's go back to gold and oil, do some commodities. I don't know, Andello, but if a lot of people are getting their feathers ruffled, I'm just like, just be careful, man. It's hard over chat. It's hard. It's difficult. It's hard to read the room. It's hard to read body language, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you said anything wrong or not, but. Okay. Cool. And I'm not reading everything in the chat. That's all. So anyway, so the S&P 500's down. I've been prepared since the third week of June. So this is fine. Gold is coming down, but we already have it. I planned this out last week for you. We've been following it up every single day. Now it's just hit daily lower low target. Again, it's just today's target. So again, just a day trade has been completed. By the way, look, the target was 1923. It's actually 1922 and 80 cents. It came down, hit exactly the target, and has bounced up. Okay. You're welcome. Oil came off our 83 And the big question is, are you buying it at 80 or at 77.50? We'll say 78. Are you buying it at 80 or 78? If you're a bull, that's what you're trying to figure out. What are you going to do? Okay. So anyways, that's that. Cool. I bought a 60-year-old watch box. I love capitalism. You're like, you can find a box for a watch from 1967? Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, maybe avoid. Yeah, people get really fired up over politics. Yeah, I try to stay as neutral as possible. I think I distrust all governments, honestly. And I just understand the threats are different depending on the type of government or the political party of the government. So you might hear all my anti-socialism stuff, and you're like, okay, he's a Republican. Well, that might be true. I'm not here to say that. Maybe I'm a libertarian. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. I did illegally vote for Clinton. I didn't know it was illegal. But anyways, I literally cast a legal vote for Bill Clinton. Sorry, not Hillary. Bill Clinton back in the 90s. I said, I have a green card. Am I allowed to vote? And she said, honey, you're going to vote. Right? But there are things I think I would respect. But there are many things I'd be concerned about. And same thing with Republicans. There are many things I'd respect, but many things I'd be concerned about. And I think that's actually quite healthy. I don't understand this idea of a political party in America. There are many places in America where you can't even you can't vote for anybody except what party you're registered to. It's really strange. You're like, right? You're like, what? And then other parts of America you can. You're like, what? And you're like, oh, you don't get to vote in the Republican primary. You're a registered Democrat. You're like, really? But anyways, maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But what I tried to say is, I'm skeptical of everybody and everything. Oh, Croatia living in Germany. Like Darko. Darko's from Croatia living in Germany. That's cool. Jim's like, oh, Florida's that way? Only vote in your primary. In your primary. Yeah. I guess it's to prevent like anti-voting. Like a Democrat would vote in the Republican, primary to pick the least good, but you're like, no, but Republicans are simply just trying to pick their representative. I mean, that makes sense. But I think there's other situations. But again, I don't vote. I'm Canadian, eh? Maida loves her Florida. I'll probably end up in Florida. And I might move back to California and then keep my place in Georgia. So I guess I need to make some money. But I would live on a vineyard in Napa. And our good old friend David Pegler invests into distressed vineyards. So I can call a Pegler and like, hey man, yeah, I wouldn't live in the cities. I'd live out in the countryside, surrounded by vineyards and rolling hills, and lots of heat, and drink wine, smoke cigars, yeah, and write books. I think that'd be great. Yeah, gotta go too, everybody. It was a day. So look, this is the time of year to expect a fade, and everything is fading right now. Everything is working right as rain. I hope you're loving life and living large and in charge. Thank you for a wonderful conversation. There was, you might be saying, man, he didn't say anything technically today at all. Yeah, I did it all yesterday and the day before, and now they're working. Like, what else am I supposed to do? You got that yesterday and the day before. Everything is working. This is great. This is wonderful. So there was nothing to add today except let what you did yesterday work. So anyway, so let's just leave it where it is. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Please try TradePlans.ai. Please try Quant-in-a-Box.co. Please visit InvestorBootcamp.com. Please visit TradersWay.com. These are all resources. They're available to you. And I think together make the world a better place, or at least yours. I'll see you when I see you. Oh, and by the way, that just happened.